They've built industries around your illness. But nature never needed a patent. Today, we're exposing the foods that silently kill cancer cells without a prescription, without a hospital bed, and without mercy. If you're tired of fearing the C word, it's time you learn how to fight it from your own kitchen. In a world where profit feeds on sickness, the cure is often buried, hidden not in labs, but in gardens, groves, and ancient traditions. I'm not here to offer you miracles. I'm here to arm you with strategy. This is not a wellness video. It's a war plan, a war against cancer, and your weapon, food, real food. Today, I will reveal the natural assassins of cancer, powerful, proven, and often ignored. Use them, or continue feeding your enemy. Cruciferous commanders, broccoli, kale, and Brussels sprouts the sulforaphane strike force. If you wish to conquer an enemy, first understand its weakness. Cancer, like any empire, can fall, not by chance, but by pressure applied in the right place, and sulforaphane is that pressure. In a world where warfare is fought with pills and patents, the true warriors of health stand in your fridge, uncelebrated, underestimated, and overwhelmingly powerful. Broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, their bitterness isn't an accident, it's chemical warfare by design. Each of these cruciferous vegetables is loaded with sulforaphane, a phytochemical that operates like a biochemical saboteur. While the world is busy looking for cures in laboratories, sulforaphane is quietly triggering apoptosis, programmed cell death in cancer cells. No headlines, no commercials, just silent elimination. Most people never activate this compound properly. They overcook their vegetables, they strip them of their edge, but raw or lightly steamed, that's where the magic lies. When you chew these vegetables, an enzyme called myrosinase is released. It converts precursors into sulforaphane like a spy flipping into battle mode. This is not random nutrition. This is targeted biological sabotage. Sulforaphane works on multiple fronts. It inhibits histone deacetylase, an enzyme linked to cancer cell survival. It neutralizes carcinogens, mops up free radicals, and disrupts angiogenesis, the process through which tumors steal blood. This means it doesn't just defend, it attacks preemptively, and still, they told you broccoli was boring. Let me ask you, why do institutions pour billions into chemotherapy drugs that mimic sulforaphane's effects, but won't teach you to steam a head of kale? Control. If everyone knew this molecule could outmaneuver cancer, where would the pharmaceutical empires go? You're not defenseless, you're simply untrained, but now you know, each bite of a cruciferous vegetable is a calculated act of rebellion. A chemical message to every rogue cell that says, your empire ends here. So the question is not, can food fight cancer? The real question is, why haven't you started yet? The silent killer, garlic nature's chemotherapy without the cost true power, doesn't shout. It doesn't seek recognition. It works in silence, in shadows, in calculated strikes. Garlic is no different, it has no commercial, no campaign, and yet, it kills more efficiently than most men in white coats dare to admit. There are two types of warfare, the kind you see, and the kind that destroys you from the inside. Cancer chooses the second. And to fight it, you need a counter-assassin just as silent, just as precise. Garlic is that assassin. For centuries it was revered, not by pharmaceutical lobbies, but by civilizations who saw what it could do before microscopes existed. In ancient Egypt, soldiers ate it before war. In India, it was medicine. In Rome, it was strength. They didn't need peer-reviewed journals to understand its potency, they felt it. But now we have the data. We know its active compound, allicin, is released only when garlic is crushed or chopped, never when it sits quietly on the shelf. And this allicin, it doesn't play defense, it's an offense general, it attacks cancer cells by multiple mechanisms. It generates reactive oxygen species Rose that cancer cells cannot tolerate. It inhibits cell proliferation, cuts off blood supply to tumors, and boosts the immune system, the real frontline. Here's what they won't advertise: garlic has shown selective toxicity. That means it can harm cancer cells without damaging healthy ones, something modern chemotherapy rarely achieves. It's precise, clean, ruthless, the way any efficient killer should be. But let's speak truth, most people don't consume garlic in a way that unlocks its power. They cook it too soon, heat destroys allicin, crush it, then let it sit for 10 minutes. Only then has the transformation begun. Only then does the assassin awaken. Garlic targets multiple cancers: stomach, colon, breast, pancreas, and lung. It interrupts the very system cancer depends on to thrive. It doesn't just slow tumors down, in studies it has shrunk them. Now ask yourself, if garlic were a patented drug, how loud would the industry shout its name? They'd sell it for thousands, disguise it with a brand, and call it revolutionary. But since it's born of the soil, immune to their control, they bury it because they can't bottle rebellion. This isn't about flavor, this is about biochemical warfare. Garlic doesn't ask for your trust, it doesn't need your belief. It will do its job, silently, whether you acknowledge its power or not. The only real question is, will you deploy it? Or will you keep trusting the same system that profits every time you get sick? Never underestimate the small, the sweet, or the silent. That's where nature hides its deadliest weapons. Berries are not dessert. They are a declaration of war disguised in color and sweetness. Look closely at a berry, vibrant, inviting, harmless in appearance. That's the deception. Behind that glossy skin lies an arsenal of chemical assassins. Anthocyanins, ellagic acid, quercetin, and resveratrol. These are not nutrients. They are agents, highly trained, highly precise. Cancer feeds on chaos. It thrives in inflammation, oxidative stress, and cellular instability. Berries enter the bloodstream like special ops, extinguishing free radicals, blocking rogue signals, and shutting down mutagenic mutations before they can mobilize. You were taught to think of berries as health food, but in truth they're biochemical saboteurs. Anthocyanins, which give berries their rich color, induce apoptosis, the cancer cell's built-in self-destruct button. Ellagic acid slows the growth of tumors by inhibiting angiogenesis, cutting off their blood supply, strangling them from within. And that's just the beginning. Blueberries cross the blood-brain barrier, giving them access to territories most foods cannot reach, targeting brain and neurological cancers where they start. Strawberries contain compounds that inhibit cancer cell migration, meaning they don't just kill cells, they block the invasion. This is not food, it's strategy, and here's what the empire won't tell you: these effects don't take years to manifest. In lab settings, cancer cells begin to weaken and die within hours of exposure to berry compounds. Hours. Not decades. The enemy is not strong. You've just never had the right weapon in hand. But here's the catch: berries only perform this operation when consumed in their raw, whole form. No sugar-laced berry yogurt, and no shelf-stable berry bars. You need them fresh, frozen, or freeze-dried, no middlemen. Processed sweetness is camouflage. Real berries are loaded and lethal. So why are berries not the headline of every health campaign? Because they don't belong to anyone. They're not synthesized in a lab. No company can patent their power. They don't need regulation because they don't cause harm, and they don't generate billions from recurring customers. They end dependency. But now you know, every time you eat a handful of berries, you're not snacking. You're executing a tactical strike. You're deploying an elite unit into your bloodstream to destabilize cancer's infrastructure. The world will continue to underestimate the small. But a wise strategist, someone who studies survival like a craft, will use any tool that wins the war. And berries, they're nature's quietest killers. Power that whispers is often the most dangerous. It doesn't need to roar to be obeyed. Green tea is no ordinary drink. It is discipline in liquid form, and within its leaves lies a molecule that executes a quiet, calculated death sentence. The world sips green tea in ignorance for detox, digestion, weight loss, superficial gains. But beneath the surface of this serene ritual, a biochemical war is being waged. Not on your body, but inside it, and the target is cancer. At the heart of this warfare is epigallocatechin gallate, a compound that sounds complicated because it is. EGG is not some casual antioxidant. It is a molecular kill code, a cipher that reprograms damaged cells, blocks rogue signals, and interrupts replication cycles of cancer cells with frightening precision. Understand this. Cancer is not random. It is a code malfunction, a signal gone rogue, unchecked, unregulated. And green tea doesn't beg the body to fix itself. It overwrites the signal. It inhibits DNA methylation, the very process by which cancer reactivates dangerous genes. EGG enters the cell like a spy with access to every door, every sequence, every mutation, and begins to reverse what medicine often says is irreversible. But this is no single target missile. EGG is versatile. It suppresses VEGF, the factor that tumors use to build blood vessels. It blocks MMP, enzymes that help cancer cells invade tissue. It halts cell cycle progression, freezing cancer cells in limbo, unable to divide, unable to conquer. And all this, in a cup of tea. You want results. Here are the battlefields. Breast cancer. EGG downregulates estrogen receptors. Prostate cancer. It suppresses the androgen pathway. Lung and liver cancer. It inhibits tumor growth and metastases at the molecular level. The empire of medicine calls this alternative. Why? Because green tea doesn't come in a vial. You can't sell it for $1,200 a dose. There's no insurance markup, no clinical trial with $1 billion sponsor, but in lab after lab, in cell line after cell line, EGG defeats the enemy. Here's what they won't say. Dosage matters. One casual cup isn't enough. To mount a real offense, you need consistency, 3 to 5 cups a day. Organic, pure, no sugar, no milk. Heat unlocks the molecule, time makes it strong, and so must you. This is not a miracle, it's a method, and the reason it's ignored because it gives power back to the people. Because it makes healing an act of discipline, not dependence. They sell you poisons dressed as cures. You drink tea and expect calm, but what you're sipping is a liquid assassin, elegant, quiet, deadly to the right target. So the next time you lift that cup, remember, you're not soothing your body, you're arming it. You were never defenseless, just distracted, kept busy with treatments, appointments, and fear, while nature stood waiting, fully armed, completely silent. Cancer is not a curse. It is a consequence of environment, of inflammation, of unchecked cellular rebellion. And if the body can be trained to destroy itself, it can also be trained to protect, rebuild, and annihilate invaders. But not through slogans, not through hope, through execution. We've shown you the weapons, cruciferous commanders who intercept the enemy before it mutates. Garlic's allicin, which slips past the guards and disables cancer's command center, buries the saboteurs that poison cancer from the shadows. And green tea, the strategist, reprogramming your biology one sip at a time. You can ignore this and continue outsourcing your fate. Or you can start your resistance today, one plate, one habit, one strike at a time, because while cancer multiplies in silence, so does power. Eat strategically, live intentionally, and remember nature is not passive, it is waiting for your command. If knowledge is power, then silence is surrender. Don't keep this to yourself. Someone you know is fighting in the dark. Give them the weapons they were never handed. Share this video. Subscribe for more led by truth, not profit. And drop a comment if you're ready to fight cancer with intelligence, not just fear. The war has already begun, but now you're not unarmed.